Frustrated to see other characters being portrayed how they're being portrayed. If you were trying to give me backstory and content, you succeeded, because the families didn't have to family so hard in this show. They didn't have to go so hard. They didn't have to go so hard for me to resent certain characters like I did. Some of them had no business doing what they were doing, going where they were trying to go, and being with who they thought they wanted to be with. Watching the show made me realize maybe having what you want isn't the right thing. Maybe getting exactly what you want is not such a good thing. This show definitely personifies it, because right now I do not get it. I'm still at season 1. I mean, I finished season 1 and I'm in season 2 right now, and that's why I got so angry, because ain't no way I sat down and watched 20 episodes of injustice. Utter betrayal, utter confusion, utter selfishness, utter chaos, and just downright wickedness. From the rich to the poor, none of them made sense. As a matter of fact, I keep going back to the same example, and I just can't see it. And it's the beginning of the show, the symbolism of the statue, where you see many people at the bottom. These right here, these two, they're at the bottom. These people right here are probably middle tier, the one grasping and doing all of the dirty work. As you'd see, the lady in the red, she's really good at kissing up, and most of the kissing up that you see in the show is done by poor people that are being used by the rich people. So this is where she is there within their class, but she also isn't on their level without trying, right? So she tries really hard to maintain that, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a quite exhausting living. Watching it, I don't think I could manage going through everything. Like, every day literally is something. It makes me wonder how did this lady right here manage to stay in a 16-17-year-old marriage with this man before she even found out anything. Like, there's no way. There is a way, but to me it kind of was driving me crazy, because I just didn't understand, how is it that this man is so crazy, so manipulative, so controlling, and she's putting up with it for his kids. They're not even her kids. And mind sharp, they might not even be his kids. I'm serious. They might not even be his kids. They might not be his kids. They've been together for years, and she didn't bear children for this man. Okay, they slept in the same bed, as far as I knew. I mean, we never actually saw them sleeping next to each other. You've seen him come and check on her in her room, but we've never actually seen them sleeping next to each other. So they might not even had sex in the relationship. He was just probably content with not having it either, because this man literally just wanted her. She was literally opposition to him. So it makes sense and doesn't make sense how they've been together for so long. And if she was willing to raise his children, how was it that she was willing not to have another child? You know, maybe she thought she was cursed and probably she didn't want to like have any kids. But that doesn't stop, to me, that doesn't stop this man. Because if he really had the mental space to literally have a child with her and wanted that child with her, he would have had the child with her. Because she doesn't strike me as a type to like go and tie her tubes, you know. She doesn't strike me as the type to like, if she gets pregnant, she's going to terminate it. So I'm going to say that it wasn't in his plan, Dante's plan, for them to have kids. They did not plan that. So really and truly, again, like I said, everything that Dante does is very calculated. So I think that he really wanted to benefit from whatever it is that she had. I can't say it was really love and obsession, because based on what we've seen in the show so far, Dante isn't the type of person to do something very random. The only variable in Dante's life is how people choose to react to him, and he also knows how to soothe that sorrow, and it's with money. And somebody with that amount of money, power, and self-control, so strategic. This man waited until she was married. He didn't sort the issue out from before that. That man let her have her way, had her get married, or she probably got married in a short period of time, because she did get pregnant, and she was pregnant when he died. So this man didn't even allow months to go by at best before he went and got her. Like, she was married and this man just went for her. So like I said, if he wanted kids with her, he would have gotten the kids with her. But I don't think it was that deep. I think, like I've been saying, his benefit to all of them is the fact that He has a plan. He literally had a whole ass plan that he waited until the value of the land increased, which is her land, increased before he started to put his plan in motion. Right? He was even over it. It wasn't his child. So he didn't even care. He put her in a comatose state. All of the people that are coming after them are victims of them. And the reason why their problems keep coming up is because they haven't changed their behavior. They haven't been punished. And that's why I really don't like this show. I was trying to understand it. I was trying to see the point. I was trying to wait it out because what's her name? The wife of Dante. When she found out, it was as if she was completely ahead of the curve. Like she was in control this whole time, and we're getting the impression that Dante was the one in control, but he wasn't in control. After she found out what was happening, she was always ahead of them, always ahead of them. Like you couldn't get the one up on her, right? So, and that is in comparison to, which is fair because she's been living with this man for, I'm gonna say 17 years. I keep going back and forth with the years because I haven't confirmed, but they've been together for 17 years. She knows this man, just like he knows her because he's been watching her. She knows him, whether she did love him or not. She knows this man. Right, so it made sense where she was able to tell or went able to go into his office. She probably even knew his schedule. She knew that he was having a meeting. She must have access to some. She knows. I remember they gave up a very perfect image to everybody, right? So they knew them as this perfect couple. They were keeping up faces, and you have to give her props that you knew she was good at acting and putting up with shit from this man because she knew what was going on, and she kept a straight face to the end. They couldn't catch her. The only way they caught her, which I believe was the writer's intention for her to get caught and for her to die, and that is why I knew at some point she's not dead. I keep saying, by the end of season 1, I was like, no, she's not dead. There's no way she could die from such a simple mistake, right? I was totally like flabbergasted. You couldn't tell me that lady was dead. You could show me the body, you could show me the funeral, you could show me the morgue. That lady is not dead. His wife is not dead. And I still get into that. But for Dante's breakdown, I really think that he was bred up with money and power. Just how you see it reflected with the kids that they have. Once they have money, they're just immediately top tier. In the beginning of season 2, the principal's daughter, or chairwoman's daughter, she became the top of the food chain, right? So she became popular because of money and influence. Her mother was bound to get married to Dante, right? So Sojin had many things to benefit. Before with his wife, it was the land and what the benefits that came with marrying into her family. She seemed to be her only child. So there was nothing else. Probably it was just her and her dad. So you know that she was basically alone. She didn't have any next of kin. We didn't see any next of kin. So if he got her, he would have inherited her life, her money, her land, the land that not even her father passed on to her, but literally passed on to her daughter. Right? So it shows that her bloodline, if he killed the daughter, the bloodline would stop, which means he would have gotten everything. Right? And to me, that was very poetic because he was like, how dare you leave me for no one, right? Like, I have this whole plan, and you just say no to me? That don't make no sense. And that's why I understand by him, a chip, right? He was like, no, you're not going to do this. We're not going to do this right now. We are going to get back on track. I don't even know if it's grace or mercy why this man even gave her some time with her other marriage. When Dante finally decided to have the affair with Eugene, I think it was strategic. Nothing seemed like random to me. Everything seemed like it was put into place just so they can tumble it down exactly how everybody wanted it. Just looking at everything actually aligned, meaning that Eugene was ready to sabotage or get into Dante's wife's life. There are a few people that try to go out for her position. One of them is Yoon-hee, Yoon-jin, and the maid. Honestly, they did the maid dirty. They did the maid so dirty. As a matter of fact, the maid symbolized all of them. There's no way you can be a part of something for so long. I think she was with them for over 10 years. There's no way you could be exposed to such abuse, such high intense, high emotional, highly secretive environment, abusive environment. You can't do anything, you can't say anything. This man just killing people left and right, and you don't know when you're gonna be next. Every day is your last day, and you're gonna be fine. So when they started to break down her character now and to be more transparent with her, because when Dante paid her off for snitching on his wife, because she did side with her, which, like I said, it was like, what did she really side with her to win over the wife, or did she side with her because she knew that he would have found out anyway and he would have gotten rid of the wife because of it? Because she knows Dante as well, so she thinks that okay, he's going to want her as well, which is like I said, it's a very interesting twist that the writers came up with, considering that we had no hint of her thinking this way. Only when his wife finally come out of the picture, that she started to show her ticking ways. I mean, there were always side eyes, but you would have thought that the side eyes were because that she didn't agree with what was going on in the house. Like, she knew something, but she, she didn't do anything because she was working undercover with somebody. You just didn't know who. At one point, I thought it was with Annalie's brother, because she did answer the phone at some point and spoke to somebody. But then she was so wishy-washy. She was so in between everybody that it was only a matter of time before her character ended up leaving. And to be honest, it wasn't even tragic enough. It was actually useful when she did finally leave. I had no remorse for her leaving. Like, everything made sense. But she was ultimately useless. And it depends on what side you're looking at. If you're looking at the wife's side, Dante's side, or I don't even know whose side it is, because they're the ones fighting. And that's the crazy part, because everybody has this picture perfect. And remember, they portray like a happy life to the public. So everybody's thinking that, oh, they live a perfect, peachy top of the building, which technically they do. Like, on the outside looking in, they live in a very great place. As a matter of fact, I remember when I just started watching the show, I was thinking, okay, so this is a really well put together lady. Like, the interest of her walking and getting ready in the house. I think at that time, unbeknownst to us, that power walk was because she found out that, no, I don't think it was at that time. She was just getting ready. No, she had found out, yes. I think she had found out that Dante hid her child. So the child that she was visiting in the hospital was not hers. So now imagine all of that. No, that's the basis of how the show starts. And you want to tell me that this lady dies in the end? Hell no. This is a war between these spouses for land. Yo, and this is very serious, because you couldn't look at the men in the show and think they're going to fight each other. They were literally on no levels at any point in time with each other. They were all actually so they're not all that great in their field. The only person that was very impressive was Dante, and technically he had to be, based on his sociopathic tendencies. So he was really on the ball, and it made sense why he was able to get away with murder most of the time, if not all of the time, because he had the time, the money, resources. And I remember watching a show, I think it was Reply 1988, when there was like an outbreak, like a prison break, sorry, and the dad was like I don't remember her name, but the main character is that he was saying that the poor go to prison, and the poor are guilty and the rich are innocent. And it shows in the show, and maybe that's why I don't like it, because I'm poor. Maybe that's why I don't like it, because the justice that should have been served in the show was not served. And the fact that it was a war between these two, it didn't make sense that either of them died. Punished, gone to prison for some time, fine, because that's even how season 1 ended. And that's why I got agitated, because it didn't make any sense. She was winning. The wife was winning all of the battles. She had the murder. She had the kids writing their confessions and saying that they repent. She was getting these people to move. And apologize. Like, the heavy lifting that her daughter couldn't do, Annalie couldn't do, that she ended up dying because she was poor. And that's another thing. It was like, if a poor person tried to live, they couldn't stand for that. If a poor person was telling them that they were wrong, they couldn't stand for that. They actually punished the poor person for correcting them, even though they're wrong. Whereas the rich one, and that's, I knew that Dante marrying his wife was strategic. It wasn't for love. It was for power and money. And he just did not like that she was like, nah, I'm out. And that is why everything brought on. So I believe that she also was a force to be reckoned with. Like I said, I compared her to Sojin. Sojin was like a beta in a situation. And to give it more color, which I don't have to, but you could tell she had them on their knees begging her to stop, begging her to, all right, we get it, no, I'm sorry. These people were like ready to do anything for her to ease up because they were about to get punished. She had them confessing, fearing for their lives just like their daughter was. Fearing for their lives just like their daughter was. All you had to do was tell me that was phase 1 of her plan. And to disappear was the second phase of her plan, because she didn't want them to suffer, right? She did want them to suffer. She wanted to teach them a lesson so hard that even their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren will be learning a lesson. That is how this lady was strategically going about teaching them, because they wouldn't just get the lesson. And she knew that. She was around these people for years. She knew people. She was the creme de la creme. Soo-young was the author and the finisher, and she married a man that was just as powerful. They were trying to compare the wife with Sojin. And to be honest, I could understand why they were terrified of Sojin, because she was dark. She was like the Cruella de Vil, all the evil princesses or queens combined, Maleficent. She was just that spiteful. You got that menacing look from just being in her presence. Like, she was a force, which is fair because she got away with so many things. But we don't know what the wife did. We don't know what she was about. Mrs. Dante. We don't know what she was about. And I feel so bad calling her by her married name and just attaching her to the husband, but I'm gonna say her name. Sooyeon was very elusive. We couldn't get to her. She was very scarce and nobody knew what she was doing all day. She didn't, at this point in time, she did not work. So what was she doing? Why she couldn't, spend time with them? What bothered me was her husband's response to why was she so busy? Why can't they hang out? Why can't they come to the penthouse? And he's like, hushing her. That gesture right there, a whole mess. A whole mess. I was like, Meg, girl, if he holding you hostage, you've been twice. Lo and behold, he was holding her hostage. He was a very crippling man. It's very chaotic, actually. Now that I think about the dynamics of their friendship. Like I said, their children, their offspring mimics them so well that it's kind of hard to not draw the comparisons as to how their children might turn out, because they turned out the exact same way. And that's why I'm even curious about their parents and their upbringing. Remember, at this point in time, like I said, Sooyeon doesn't work. So what is she spending her time doing? And her husband is like, oh, it's my fault. I don't interact with the house. Red flag. It was like, this was what, the first episode, and I knew it was a red flag. And I was not sorry at all. You can see, I think that's Mari. She works. She actually works. As a matter of fact, all of them work except the, what's her name? Oh man, I hate when I do this. Go Sanga, she doesn't work. She is just a stay-at-home mom. She actually bends to the will of her husband's mom. She used to be I think, reporter on TV. So she no longer does that since she got with him. She's just a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't do anything much anymore, I believe. And you have, what's her name? Sojin. She's in charge of her father's legacy, which is a foundation, which I believe they laundered money through. But hey, let's just continue. Nobody touched on that, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. But yeah, chaos. This whole table is chaos. Let me show you how chaotic it is. So you have names escape me, but I'm still gonna continue. You have Yun Chul. He reminds me of their son. The twins. He reminds me of their son. He tries to protect everybody. He was as if he's innocent. He tries not to intervene in their squabbles and behave as if he has a halo on his head, but he's just as guilty as they all are, and messed up even more so. But Dante does take the cake on being messed up, and does in fact possibly has a messed up father, which again I say he mimics Dante's son in that way. He tries to protect everybody even though he is hurt, but he's probably more messed up because of who his father is. So but he comes from, and he being him, a more messed up backstory, because he was poor, I believe, probably richer than Yoonhee, but he was poorer than Sojin. So he's leveled up by marrying her and abandoned Yoonhee, in contrast to, oh, and he took over like her dad's hospital, so he definitely leveled up where Marge was concerned. So she couldn't go anywhere, so she really had to like stay connected to him, because he was her trophy. Chaotic, I know. He was her trophy, and that was the only prize that she had. But after some time, that novelty wears off, and I think that's why she set sights on Dante, which was stupid and smart, because never listen. Don't try to take something that's not yours, because she didn't even want it. I think, like I said, she was trying to stay with this man because he was taking care of her daughter. Chaos ensued because of this man she didn't even know, and she was just staying because of her daughter, right? So that's their relationship, and it wasn't even working out because this man is psychotic, very controlling, neat freak. I'm surprised he even eats in peace. Whereas you have Sojin, she benefited from the transfer to him and wanting him, but she couldn't benefit from him anymore. There was nothing to gain here besides pride of taking her enemy's man. And she had all to benefit from this merger business. And she was bored. She's used to getting what she wants, so she couldn't want this guy. She already had this guy, so she's just gonna take this one, the top floor guy, because she's never lost anything in her life. She's never had to pay for consequences, so why not? Why can't she have Dante? And I think Sojin envied Soryun's life, because remember, everybody sees them as the perfect couple. Like, there's no flaws. Like the other couples, their marriages are chaotic. very chaotic. Nobody likes their spouse. Her husband, later on we find out, is in prison, but she says he's in business in Dubai. He could have been a successful businessman and probably took, a plea deal just so he would lessen his sentence. We don't know. We don't get that backstory, but that's there. And so she's lonely. She's third wheeling to these people all the time, and it's sad. But it's what happens. It's what happens, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all because it's stupid. But again, it's just a drama, so I digress. But again, like I said, all these people are non-redeemable. All these relationships are very chaotic. The only one loyal here is this pretty lady right here. She's loyal to her husband even though he's in prison. I don't know about you, but that's some loyalty. That's some loyalty. All right, like I was saying, they don't work. He's a chief of a hospital. He owns multiple businesses, and he was with Soyeon. Probably because his dad probably pushed it, just like her dad was probably pushing her union with somebody else, but she negated it so she can steal somebody else's man and then convince her dad why it would have worked out. These idiots. And this is rich people. This is what they do. They don't have anything but to do, so they just spend their time manipulating other people's life until they're bored. Literally, that's what they do. The richest people in the room who didn't marry into money are possibly this person right here, Dante, Soyeon, Sojin. We don't know her backstory, all of it, so I'm gonna leave her alone. And this guy right here, they are the rich people. Their spouses are married into money. Like, they probably had money before, but they married into money. Mercy. So like I said about the marriage and all, he already benefited from her, which was probably his father or mother, whoever is his driving force, probably his mom, because he has a trauma from Dante has a trauma from his mom passing away. Maybe it's from his mom, but somebody was pushing their relationship, so maybe that's why he was so obsessed about getting her, because it equated to money, social standing, elevation, as well as the land that was hers would have been passed on from her father. But because she chose to marry somebody else and got a family for somebody else, her offspring got that land, so he needed to end that. I don't even know if he really liked her. He expressed that he did, but I don't think so. This man, Dante, is too calculated to just be wanting somebody like that. No, he can't convince me. Even if he was in love with her, I think it was the drive to get power that pushed this union. Chaos. Hated it. But it was a good drama until it wasn't. And like I said, it was only because there wasn't any justice for these people. I didn't like that. That was just not fair for me. That was just not fair. Alright. And as the series progressed, he no longer needed Soyeon. And that is why I thought that she should have left. Right? Revenge and all, she almost got them. She got them, actually. But she messed up because she was trying to save her kids that weren't even her kids. That's where she messed up. And I think the writers tried to get that angle. But the delivery was so poor because you couldn't convince me that she was in the midst of taking these people down. And she evaded all of that just to go get her kids. She wanted her kids, she should have took them a long time ago. You can't convince me. She should have taken them a long time ago and took them out of the country and said, wait until I come get you. She meant them no good. And that's why I'm not convinced that she died just to save them. Yes, I said it. She dies just to save children that were not hers. And I don't like that. I did not like that. Serious injustice. And like I said, so she was no longer profitable for him. Right, later discovered that his agenda was just to get her land so he can profit off of it. It was a very great land. Like I said, she was already in money, and she was already not doing anything. She lived a very padded life. So later, after he got rid of her, this girl set sights on her man. Let's watch it play out. She was very envious of what she is. Sojin was very envious of Soyeon, which you don't get any backstory of as to why she would be envious of her. They seem to have had beef before, but we aren't privy to that. Like I said, they might have gone to the same school. I'm convinced that they did because Soyeon's daughter, which is Annalie, is an opera singer, and she's literally one of the best, along with Yuhi's daughter. So I'm convinced that all three of them were colleagues and competition at some point, and that is why she thought, which is Sojin, thought that getting rid of Yoon-hee was no problem. She could have also gotten rid of Soyeon, but it wasn't such an easy feat because they were in the same crowd. She's beta compared to Soyeon. She didn't have much to offer Dante at the time. Based on his life plan, right? So like I said, she got married to this guy for revenge trophy, and he is growing resentful of her. Soyeon didn't show any malice towards her. She was actually pretty nice. She even told her not to be hurt with her husband being so aggressive towards her because men are like that. She was soothing her, right? This is the very first interaction we see of Soyeon and Sojin, so we don't know if she was being two-faced. Probably was, because we realized later on that she was very sneaky when she wants to be. She was always ahead of the curve, at this point in time. But at this point in time, I don't think she was. She was really ignorant to a lot of things. People had to enlighten her, and that's when she started to plan her escape, right? But before, I think she was just playing along to the plan that Dante had, because she didn't want Dante. She married somebody else, so she really just wanted to live her life, which she found it hard to do after she lost her husband. I mean, dramatically. Mercy, Dante's a psychopath, but these two are also psychopaths. But like I said, I think she just wanted her man for no reason. I'm gonna go with that. She wanted this girl's man for no reason, and I'm upset with it. You can't convince me. And they deserved what they were gonna get in the end. I thought they were gonna get in the end at least. They actually did not get anything. I was very disappointed and angry at it, because these two needed to be taken down. And every time I thought that they were going to, they didn't. And it sent the signal that people with money just win. I mean, she won when she was a teenager, and she's still winning now. She stole a whole man. She killed a whole person. The two of them did. He actually killed many people to get where he is, and he's not okay. So you can imagine the kids seeing, and especially, you know what really got to me? When, who was it? Oh yes, when Dante's son found out that they were having an affair, and he kept it calm and cool and collected. But as soon as Sojin's daughter found out that they were having an affair, she lost her shit. She threw a tantrum in the room, and that made me realize, hey, maybe the twin brother was actually much crazier than I give him credit for. He tries to keep things together, but he was actually very much traumatized and also scary, because he was holding everything in. Unlike the daughter, she wasn't holding anything in, and she was showing her how she was responding to everything outwardly. She even tried to commit suicide, but the son tried to keep it in. And you can't convince me that he is not mental, because he's just trying to hide it. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. They were chaotic. Like I said, Sojin is conniving. I also saw that they were trying to use wardrobe to me, they were using wardrobe to show how these people change, especially Yoonhee. She wore white and light colors in the beginning of the show, which showed, innocence, to me. Only for them to use something else in the end, for her transitioning to black and white, or black fully with a hint of white, showing that she has a chance to redeem herself, but then ultimately doesn't. And that's why I felt like they fumbled the bag. She should have been punished. She should have died. I'm not joking. Yoonhee should have died. Soyeon should have met up with her dead daughter that turned out not to be dead, and they just leave the country. And Sojin and Dante should have gone to prison. Youngjin should have possibly... Anything upset me, Youngjin should have... I don't know. Just been punished by his mom. That's kind of punishment. Mari should have also moved out to the penthouse. Even though they were being investigated, I think they should have actually left the house. Sold it and left. Same thing with Yoonhee. The minute she found out that Annalie was Soyeon's daughter, she should have just took her daughter and left to go to the countryside, away from it all. Them staying in the house just showed me that they were ready to go down with the ship regardless. And her willingness to go down with the ship was her. Annalie was Soyeon's daughter. She should have just took her daughter and left to go to the countryside, away from it all. Them staying in the house just showed me that they were ready to go down with the ship regardless. And her willingness to go down with the ship was her problem. And I couldn't believe that they allowed her to take Dante's side when her role, Yoonhee's role, was literally to be used by Soyeon to get to unnerve Dante and unravel Dante. And she, even though she killed her daughter, she shouldn't have taken Dante's side, because Dante knew that Yoonhee was a pawn. And she was completely useless to him, because Yoonhee didn't have any links. It was Soyeon that was pulling the ropes. So she should have known that she had no use to anybody, and she should have left. And that is why I got very angry, because for her to be found out to be the actual killer and to stay was too much for me. And then for them to clear her name in season 2 and behave as if, oh, it's redeemable. No, it's not. No, it's not. And all of them should have been punished. Like, you can't forgive them for this. It's too much. This girl died. Somebody died. And they're like, oh, okay, just kill the people that it bothers so much. Are you joking? And then the premise of the next season is to get justice. Is for Yoonhee to get justice for Soyeon, who she betrayed in the first place. No, I can't. You have to make this make sense. Like, there's no redemption for these people. They killed the most innocent people in the show, and then they're all just chaotically running up and down thinking, oh, I'm innocent. No, they're not. None of them are. All of them are messed up. None of them are any better than the other. And then you want to convince me that, who was it? You want to convince me that Rona and the twin brother are supposed to be a thing? You cannot, as my fellow Jamaicans say, you can't trick me. Piper, you cannot trick me. You cannot trick me. I'm very upset. I'm so upset. It's maddening. And people sit around watching the show and thinking, oh, it's genius, it's beautiful. Yes, it's actually pretty good. What would have been made me feel better was some justice. Right? There's no justice here. And you want me to believe, that this person, oh God, I don't like this so much. It's actually pissing me off. I like this one bit, and then maybe across is junk for them. Careless, evil, no redeeming qualities. And you want me to, the mess. Nobody's innocent. Let me go about this. Let me try again. These two have an affair. He was stolen by her, from her, which means if they weren't stolen and they were naturally in order, these two would have had kids. These wouldn't exist. Mercy. And if that was the case, even if these two originally got married, these two wouldn't exist. Oh my God. So does that then mean she would have just been alone because nobody wants her? These three had beef from high school. She's probably the poor one, just like she's in her group. Oh mercy. She is the her of their friend group. Psycho. And her actual daughter, which was the one they killed, was her, but without any money. So her money kept saving her life until it just couldn't anymore. Again, I really want to see what their life was like before they got married, before they became adults. That's what I would have wanted to see in season 2. Not the mess. I haven't watched it yet, but it's a mess to me. I wanted to see, why did John Dante have the audacity that he has? I want to know why, or what chokehold did Suryon have on him? Why did Sujin want to take Yoon, his man? They're miserable, they're chaotic, they're stupid. My gosh. And I wanted to know Kang Mari's story, because she's the only actual working female of the table. Yes, she has so much time to be frivolous with the females there. Even I think it was Go Sang Ah. They're all a mess. I wanted to see I wanted to see them as teenagers. I don't want to see their children, because to me they're, Extraordinary You. That's what their children's life dynamic reminded me of. Anyway, I don't want to go in that comparison, but I want to highlight the scene right here when baby girl entered with her husband, and he's very touchy on her, and I thought they did give the impression that they have it all put together. Suryon was very elusive, he couldn't get to her. She was very scarce and nobody knew what she was doing all day. She didn't, at this point in time, she did not work, so what was she doing? Why she couldn't, spend time with them? What bothered me was her husband's response to, why was she so busy? Why can't they hang out? Why can't they come to the penthouse? And he's like hushing her. That gesture right there, a whole mess. A whole mess. I was like, Meg, girl, if he holding you hostage been twice, lo and behold, he was holding her hostage. She was a very crippling man. It's very chaotic, actually, now that I think about the dynamics of their friendship. Like I said, their children, their offspring mimics them so well that it's kind of hard to not draw the comparisons as to how their children might turn out, because they turned out the exact same way. And that's why I'm even curious about their parents and their upbringing. Remember, at this point in time, like I said, Suryon doesn't work. So what is she spending her time doing? And her husband is like, oh, it's my fault, I don't interrupt other hoes. Red flag. It was like, this was what, the first episode, and I knew it was a red flag, and I was not sorry at all. You can see, I think that's Mari. She actually works. As a matter of fact, all of them work except what's her name? Oh man, I hate when I do this. Go Sanga, she doesn't work. She is just a stay-at-home mom. She actually bends to the will of her husband's mom. She used to be I think, reporter on TV. So she no longer does that since she got with him. She's just a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't do anything much anymore, I believe. And you have, what's her name? Sojin. She's in charge of her father's legacy, which is a foundation, which I believe they laundered money through. But hey, let's just continue. Nobody touched on that, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. But yeah, chaos. This whole table is chaos. Let me show you how chaotic it is. So you have names escape me, but I'm still gonna continue. You have Yun Chul. He reminds me of their son. The twins. He reminds me of their son. He tries to protect everybody. He behaves as if he's innocent. He tries not to intervene in their squabbles and behave as if he has a halo on his head, but he's just as guilty as they all are, and messed up even more so. But Dante does take the cake on being messed up, and does in fact possibly has a messed up father, which again I say he mimics Dante's son in that way. He tries to protect everybody even though he is hurt, but he's probably more messed up because of who his father is. So but he comes from, and he being him, a more messed up backstory, because he was poor, I believe, probably richer than Yunhee, but he was poorer than Sojin. So he's leveled up by marrying her and abandoned Yunhee, in contrast to, oh, and he took over like her dad's hospital, so he definitely leveled up where Marge was concerned. So she couldn't go anywhere, so she really had to like stay connected to him, because he was her trophy. Chaotic, I know. He was her trophy, and that was the only prize that she had. But after some time that novelty wears off, and I think that's why she set sights on Dante, which was stupid and smart, because never listen, don't try to take something that's not yours, because she didn't even want it. I think, like I said, she was trying to stay with this man because he was taking care of her daughter. Chaos ensued because of this man she didn't even know, and she wasn't staying because of her daughter, right? So that's their relationship, and it wasn't even working out because this man is psychotic, very controlling, neat freak. I'm surprised he even eats in peace. Whereas you have Sojin, she benefited from the transfer to him and wanting him, because she couldn't benefit from him anymore. There was nothing to gain here besides pride of taking her enemy's man, and she had all to benefit from this merger business, and she was bored. She's used to getting what she wants, so she couldn't want this guy. She already had this guy, so she's just gonna take this one, the top floor guy, because she's never lost anything in her life. She's never had to pay for consequences, so why not? Why can't she have Dante? And Annalie, I've said, had no business going there and being in what she was being in. She was an orphan. I think her brother that she ended up checking for and came back for her, which all of a sudden she had a rich brother. Look, they always do this to poor people in a show. They behave as if poor people don't want the money that's being offered by the rich people and they're better than. And poor people are literally finding themselves in the rich people business and getting money off of, some side eye hustles. Like, there's nothing good about what they're trying to do. And she's trying to, based on what we're introduced to her, she's just poor. She's trying to be a tutor. She's just trying to raise funds for her sick dog, right? So she's really beneath them, especially based on the life projection of the father, the mom, and the twin social status. Annalie is completely beneath them. First of all, she's working class. They don't have to work. No, nobody in this room right now needs to work besides the maid, and she's the literal only maid of the house, which is crazy to me. She's the only maid that we see throughout the series. Again, it's stupid to me because they have a lot of money, but again, it's a hotel, it's a penthouse, so probably there's a whole kitchen staff dedicated to serving them. So this is literally just a personal maid, but this is a whole floor, but I'm not going to get into that. The point is that Annalie, I'm going to say that Annalie knew that this lady was her mom. She knew because she had no other reason to work there. She had none. She had no absolute reason to go there, and that was her first mistake. And watching the show made me realize, anybody listening, if you have kids or you give your child up for adoption, or if you were adopted, I should say actually, if you're adopted, do not look for your birth parents. They gave you up for a reason. Don't look for them. Just be grateful for if somebody chose. I'm not saying that if you were selected and you should be utterly grateful, because there is some homesickness and wanting to understand where you came from, your heritage, your roots. Everybody has an actual desire. But let me tell you something. Leave them alone. Because if Annalie did not try to find her birth mom, she would have still been alive, because nobody was chasing her. Nobody. She could have actually found work in a different elite part of town. She did not have to intervene. So that tells me that she purposely went there to seek out her mom just to find out why she abandoned her, you know, based on how she lived her life. She grew up in foster care. It wasn't a nice experience. So that's what I'm saying. So why is it she must have known that this lady was her mama. She wanted to see if what kind of life she's living, why she abandoned her and all that, because she wouldn't know anything. Nobody from her previous life was attached to her. As a matter of fact, there's no way she would have found out that this lady was her mom, unless she did some digging, which you later find out that she had a rich brother, and that boy could not have been her brother, either whether it was within age, he was older than her, or acquaintance. I don't even know how he met her or how they met, or the relationship. It wasn't even disclosed in the first season. But regardless, it's not like biological, but I obviously get that. But I'm saying that that man had no purpose, and I was sick of him. After some time, I was sick of him. When I realized that there was no end to this ploy, I was sick of him too. There's no redemption for anybody in this room. No, none of them. Let me get back to my point. Anyway, so like I said, she must have gone there to see how she was living, and then she, knowing and not knowing that she was interacting with her siblings, and lo and behold, they're not actual siblings. I also wanted to point out that the twin brother, I thought that he actually liked Annalie, but what I'm realizing that he is just trying to protect people from his sister. He's just trying to protect people from his sister because he has the same eyes for everybody that comes into her vicinity, that is female. It's kind of creepy too. Like I said, I was very suspicious of the relationship because look at this. I don't care. I don't care. Sibling love, protection based on abusive father. This girl knew what she was doing. I'm not going to get into that right now. I really want to focus on Annalie and her mom and why she went there, because all of this started with her going back to her mom. She should have left it alone. Her and this lady right here, they should not have wanted anything to do with those rich people. They've been scorned by them. They're living their life at the bottom of the barrel because of these rich people. And that's why I said the analogy of the image or the introduction, that theme displayed with the people climbing on the top, and people at there's one person at the top that's surrounded by gold or dressed in gold, and everybody else is just trying to catch the hem of the garment, which is the gold and the money. These are people that were stepped on by these rich people and continue to basically suffer because of these rich people. And you mean to tell me that they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna enter the world and beat them by their own game? And then by the end of the series, you find out that they're all losers, every single one of them, the poor ones and the rich ones. It's actually very devastatingly disturbing. Disgusting. She should have never had her daughter do music, and I think they were fighting at this point in time, which was quite disappointing. But like I was saying, to me it was not worth her going back to such a place. I knew she was curious about where she came from, possibly, or she was trying to make money. Alright, the motive that they gave in the beginning was that this girl was looking for her dog, and I know people are attached to their dogs and their pets. For all we know, that she could have been so attached to this animal because the dog has always been there with her, going through thick and thin. She's the only person she can rely on. But hey, it's not worth it. I kid you not. Things, she should have took it as a lesson. I know it's sad, but she just took it as a lesson, because later on the dog dies. Yeah, spoiler alert, the dog dies, and she's no less or more because she died before the dog. She died before the dog. So you tell me, was it really all worth that mess? Having to go in this place that as soon as you enter, it's pure chaos and disrespect. That girl didn't even last 2 days. This girl didn't even last 2 days under these people's roof. She died. That's the crazy part. And you know, the whole series, I was literally holding out to say she's not going to die. Like, she's gonna come back. It's gonna like shock everybody. No, this girl legit died. She died trying to find her mom. To get what? Justice? Oh my gosh. Alright, you know, this personifies the best revenge is doing better without them. But I guess she couldn't help it because she was poor. Look at that man looking at her brother. I'm saying he looked at her like he liked her, and I was confused the whole time because he kept looking at her like he liked her, and I was thinking, oh, is that a ship? Is that a ship? Oof. She died. That's the crazy part. And you know, the whole series, I was literally holding out to say she's not going to die. Like, she's gonna come back. It's gonna like shock everybody. No, this girl legit died. She died trying to find her mom. To get what? Justice? Oh my gosh. Alright, you know, this personifies the best revenge is doing better without them. But I guess she couldn't help it because she was poor. Look at that man looking at her brother. I'm saying he looked at her like he liked her, and I was confused the whole time because he kept looking at her like he liked her, and I was thinking, oh, is that a ship? Is that a ship? No, it's not a ship. And he all the men are worthless in the show. I'm trying to like come up with an so Jenny is like, oh, God, as well. This show's a miss, and I don't like it because it's such a miss. At first, I thought it was funny and amusing, but then by the time season 1 was supposed to end, I just didn't get it anymore. Like the point, it lost its point. There was no justice to be had. Everybody was just evading blame. To the point that Soo Ryun had to pay the consequences to all of their actions instead of them just being punished. Somebody else dies, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I preferred for them to just get what they're supposed to get instead of pushing it to a season 2. That was some serious injustice that I just couldn't deal with. It kind of felt like I was stuck in this loop that would just not end, and I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. I needed a break. Yoon-hee was poor. She did at some point. I'm trying to wonder how she was even going to get, how she got into the school. Got this. So psychopath. She was trying to be perfect for her dad, and she was so determined to be perfect and to do what she needs to do that she was willing to commit murder. And I again wish that Yoon-hee just died here. The things that happened later would not have happened if she just died here. I know, victim blaming. No, I'm serious. Like, it's too much chaos. As a matter of fact, that even makes sense. Soo Jin should have been punished. That's what I'm saying. That the punishment should just happen. She should have been punished for her actions. She almost committed murder. Just like punish her at some point. There's no accountability, and that's really frustrating. It also made me wonder if she was the only child for her father, and her father remarried, and that's why she was so adamant about having the business to herself, because her sister wasn't her full sister. She was like the other one, so she had to defend her place. Just so stupid, disgusting. Not to mention her daughter. It's her fault that they ended up where they were. Remember I said they were poor. If the daughter didn't want to go to the school that her mother's nemesis is at, and her mother just explained to her what happened, even if she didn't explain to her, just say, well, you just can't go to that school, you can't go to any other school but that school, she wouldn't have been blacklisted in that look at that. She wouldn't have been blacklisted in that area of work. She would have just moved to a different school. Again, out of sight, out of mind. She was wrong. And even if it's the only school that was in the vicinity, they should have left the country. There are so many ways they could have avoided this, and they chose not to. And that is why I just think all of them are problematic. And none of them have redemption. It's the daughter's fault that the mother ultimately became a murderer, because she just wouldn't listen to her mom when her mom said no. Her mom said no. Her mom told her not to go to that school. Her mom said, do not sing, don't do it. And I know, you're like, oh, let people follow their dreams, let them chase their dreams regardless of the obstacles. Well, look what happened. A girl died, and then her mother died, literally because of them. Victim blaming again. But are they? Are they really victims when they literally put themselves in that position? Because even Yoon-hee literally took her daughter with the influence of Soo Hyun to the penthouse, the palace, the Hera palace, without her consent. But that's because she was literally driven to it by her daughter. Yoon-hee was driven to it by her daughter because her daughter put her in that position. I'm not saying her daughter shouldn't want a dream. See, it's repeating. It's the same thing that happened to her, and it's happening to her daughter. And she decided to fight. She decided to have courage with her daughter. When I first saw this scene, I knew that this was not going to end well. It was already ridiculous. It was chaotic. It wasn't worth it. It shouldn't have happened. I don't care for it. It was a mess. And if Soo-ryun was really trying to help her, she would have taken her out of the situation. But she needed a pawn. And that is why Soo-ryun was like the boss of this whole show. She was the teammate you should have had on your side. And that is where the injustice came to her character, and that's where I got very angry at the end of season 1, where she was betrayed by, to me, the writers. I don't care if she was redeemed in season 2, because I honestly did not want to continue to season 2. They were too much. They were too chaotic. Bona, sorry, her name, forgive me, but her daughter was too much. I'm not gonna lie, she was very annoying to me. It was her fault. Verona, it was her fault. It was her fault. Her mom had to go into that mood. Her mom should have defended her mom, which is Yoon-hee, should have defended herself at her own age, not when she's older. And I think people have a tendency to do that, which is to defend other people except themselves. And I think that's what happened in this situation. She could only muster the strength for her daughter and not actually for herself. And that's sad, because she let a whole 18 years, 20 years pass, 16 years, however old they are at this point, passed before she actually decided to take a stand for herself. She wasn't taking a stand for herself. She was using her daughter. Like, every one of them used her. I'm unbelievably sick and tired of all these characters. None of them have any redeeming qualities. They're all chaotic in their own way. They don't get better. There's no redeeming quality. And I guess that's the highlight of the show, like I keep saying, because there's absolutely no way that people sat down and said, yes, this is it. And like I said, maybe it is that it's so good, like it's so well written, that I hate each and every one of them.